So today we're going to talk about an ancient mystery over here. We have these people just wheelbarrowing, minding their own business, and all of a sudden, boom, everyone's dying. And everyone's just lying there on the steps, and this lady really needs to brush her teeth. Like, that is disgusting. And yeah, they're just like finding anywhere to bury their dead. And we're going to try to find out why this guy is even in the desert, because there were no deserts in England or Europe or whatever. But I don't know. We're going to tell it from here because I guess we're safer from here, talking about some shit that happened over there. Um, so the point is that these people were over here just minding their own business, wheelbarrowing their life away and breaking their back, just working for these people that were these rich assholes that just pooped in their homes. And then all of a sudden, boom, everyone's dying. And then there's this kid. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. And then they started like having to wheelbarrow their dead. And yeah, they just threw them in these crazy pastures. And all of a sudden, like, you have like all these people, they look super hungry, and then this guy is over here happy because he's like, yo, I'm taking all these lives. And then, we're trying to figure out what is happening. It's just this huge mystery. And everyone, look at this, it's just like a shit ton of dead people everywhere, coffins, horses. And so there's this kid, and he's like, yo, I'm hungry, mom, wake up. And they're like, yo, your mom's dead, there's nothing in there. And then everyone just started losing their top for some reason. Everyone is just like, oh my gosh, I got the plague, take off my shirt. And everyone is so scared, obviously, because there's just, how are they supposed to know where this shit's coming from? So this girl's over here crying her eyes out, and she's like, yo, relax, we're gonna get an inheritance, like, it's not that serious. And he was he was old as fuck anyway. So then everyone just started, well, not everyone started to get buried, to be honest. It was only rich people who could afford this shit and who could afford to get flowers thrown onto their graves. And then, well, now we're fast forwarding. Now that we know a lot more about science, they're like, yeah, there's gonna be another pandemic. And yeah, they were so right, because now here we have Rona. But back in those times, they were like, yeah, let's just like whip this shit out of it. So they took this guy and they're like, we're gonna whip this shit out of you so you could get this disease taken out of you. But it didn't work, obviously. He died anyway. Go figure. And so let's talk a little bit about how it got spread. Let's see. I mean, later on we'll realize that it all just came from China, but let's go back to the year 1348. Over here, people are like super naive. They couldn't read, they couldn't write. They're going to church, and like church is telling them everything they need to do with their lives. And they were apparently happy. I mean, if you look at these types of architectures, which most people would probably not be able to go into anyway, because they were serfs, they were kind of like slaves, most people. It's called feudalism. In feudalism, these people are like, there she goes, she's hoeing her life away. In feudalism, you pick a bunch of shit for these rich people. You don't get to keep any of it, and you just get treated like an animal your whole life. You got to break your back with no breaks, probably no food. Look at this. He's just like, I don't know what else to do with my life. I don't know anything else about life except work for this guy that throws maybe, I don't know, some rice at me and then just like poops in his castle, because that's what they do in there. It's pretty disgusting. And so, yeah, then all of a sudden everyone just started dying. Like, oh my gosh. Well, apparently it smells, because everyone's always holding their nose. Well, if you've ever saw pictures of people with the Black Plague, it was pretty disgusting. And there's this kid again, like trying to eat, but like, man, poor kid. And then all of a sudden everyone just hovering over like this. This is like a very popular pose. And yeah, you see, there it goes again, stinkiness. Oh yeah, okay, more graves for rich people. Everyone else was probably getting thrown in some sort of river or something, kind of like polluting the rivers and polluting the soil. And that's probably how people ended up getting a bunch of other diseases as well back in those times. And so
was a combination of the terror
We're
that
saying
one
that
gets
it
when
was
one
obviously very
sees
horrific because there was no
numbers
social
of people
media,
killed.
these people couldn't
The
read, there was
random
no
nature of the
newspaper.
people who were
All of a sudden,
killed
everyone was just
changed
dropping dead
games
left and
of
right, and nobody
war
knows why.
between
And
millions and
so,
so forth.
meanwhile, they have
And the
like these pet
disgust that
rats
the
at
people
home.
in
They're
the
like giving them
cities, of
names
course, I
like,
would
oh my
above all of
god,
us
there
is the
goes
fact
Jimmy,
that
ha ha
you
ha.
don't know what
And they didn't
crosses it,
realize that
and
it
you
was
don't know what to
Jimmy,
do
the
about
one
it.
that was causing all the destruction. But then we have
Physicians of
these
the
guys that
time were
look like
powerless to
wizards, and they're
understand
over here like, oh,
flesh
we got
and
all the
bones.
answers. We just give
Diaz
them a
ruled
little
the
bit of this
lives of
shit, a
all
little
who
bit of that
lived in his
shit, and
shadow,
Death is like,
even
ah, you
compelling
guys
them
are
to
so
forsake
stupid.
their
I'm
loved
still coming
ones.
for you anyway. And she's like, yo, hold my hair back, hold my hair back. You're not
To this
taking me.
day,
But
exactly
you know,
how the
there's
Black
nothing you could
Death
do
first
about
took
Death
birth
anyway.
remains a mystery.
Sorry, this is a little dark. Meanwhile, these people are still toiling
Months before the
away,
plague
just
struck
burying their
Europe in
dead. And then
June
here are the
1348,
rich assholes that
there were
poop and
whispered
pee in their
rumors of
castles. They're
impending
like, yo, you
calamity.
can't get us because we rich. But the plague is like, well, yeah,
Returning from the distant Far
about
East,
that, there's
merchants
like
and
no
traders
exception for
brought
this.
home from
So they
China
blamed the
news of
merchants and they
tarantula
were like,
swarms
yo,
of
these people are
spiders
coming from
and other
China.
edible
Like, it must be them.
portents
Like,
of
they
doom.
must be bringing that shit with them. And they weren't really that wrong because I guess that's where the rats were coming from. But man, I'm sure the Chinese are pretty damn upset because everything just happens to come from China. And so here's Satan like, yeah, I'm taking a bunch of bodies and ooh, let's have a party down in hell.